Hey friends, this is another story time. This is the birth that I learned about cervical scar tissue, and I had no idea that it was even a thing. So this was actually my sister's birth. A little background, this was her second baby, and her first one though was like many years before. I think maybe my niece was about 9 or 10. I think I'd only been practicing as a doula for a couple years at this point. But I mean, I'd had enough experience, and I assumed that because it was her second baby, she was probably going to have a much faster labor than she did with her first one. So she started having contractions, and I went ahead and drove up to her house because she lived about 2 hours away from me. I spent the night with her. The contractions were coming, but they were kind of sporadic. And then eventually, as the weekend went on, they just kind of dissipated. So I went home. And the following weekend, the same pattern happened. But this time they were more regular. So we were excited. Baby's coming. They were coming every, 7 to 8 minutes. Typically, labor has some sort of progression. So contractions usually get longer, stronger, closer together. And they just weren't. They were staying the same for a really long time. And after 24 hours, they were pretty mild, but I just could feel that something wasn't right. So I suggested we go ahead and go to the hospital and just make sure everything was good. So when we got to the hospital, her midwife came in and did a vaginal exam, and she said, "You're totally closed." I'm pretty sure both of her eyeballs were like this, like she had been contracting for so long. And then the midwife said, "Have you ever had anything done to your cervix, like any procedures done?" And my sister said, "Yeah, I had cryotherapy done to my cervix." So that's when they freeze off any precancerous cells. And the midwife said, "Yes, I feel scar tissue on your cervix, and I'm going to see if I can break it up." And so she did, and it immediately went to 3 centimeters, she said. My sister's labor really kicked in suddenly. An hour later, they checked her again, and she was just 4 centimeters. But the midwife went ahead and said she could still feel some scar tissue on the cervix. And so she put some pressure on it, and she said, "We'll see what happened." 45 minutes later, my sister was holding her baby. I had never heard of cervical scar tissue at that point. So I was so curious. I had so many questions. And thankfully, the midwife actually, gave me the time and talked to me about it. You're going to have to like and follow for part 2 because this is so important.